Hey everyone, I'm Nico from Licks of the Beast. Last week I got to see Iron Maiden perform their Legacy of the Beast show on 3 separate nights. So in this video, I want to go over my impressions of the shows, give you my thoughts on the band's current performance, and what I think it means for next year's Future Past tour. So after a failed attempt at catching the show in Bologna, Italy earlier this year, I was super pumped about finally seeing them again, even if it was essentially the same show as what we saw in 2019. I always get excited for a new Iron Maiden tour, and every time the concert is just a few days away, I can really feel my anticipation growing exponentially until the day of the show. And by that point, I'm just busting, right? Now this time, I was feeling it even more than usual due to all the circumstances. First with COVID, then the Bologna show being cancelled, and the fact that since I started this channel, Iron Maiden has become an even bigger part of my life than ever before. Iron Maiden have done an excellent job over the decades at making their concerts a ceremonious event, a ritual even. So when the lights went down and UFO's Doctor Doctor started playing, I swear it felt like the electricity had just been turned on in the room. When the song ends, the crackling, tension-building sound effects play for just a minute, the taiko drums start, the band members walk onto the stage, Nico gives a cue, and Senjutsu starts with those big crashing power chords. To anyone who doubted Senjutsu as an opener, I can assure you, I've seen them open with a variety of songs, including Aces High, Moonchild, and Be Quick or Be Dead. And I thought this was a powerful opening, and the tension stayed high for the entire song. Especially with Bruce's vocals, which are sounding, and I say this without a hint of hyperbole, no exaggeration, better than ever. Some people I spoke to still didn't love it, and they would have preferred something a bit faster, as Maiden's openers tend to be. And I think that's fair. I didn't have any issue with it, but I'm never going to argue about taste with anyone. It might not be apparent to everyone, especially those who don't sing, but the first 3 songs of this current set, Senjutsu, Stratego, and The Writing on the Wall, are extremely difficult songs to sing for anyone, let alone someone whose voice has the kind of mileage on it that Bruce's does. Yet, he did them back to back with immense power, all while taking full control of the entire stage and cheerleading the audience like only he can. When they announced the Future Past tour, I, like many, asked myself if they weren't a little too late because the songs on Somewhere in Time are quite difficult to sing. And Bruce even seemed to struggle with them a little bit on the original tour back in 1986. Of course, this is when they were going on these ridiculously long tours that were just merciless on Bruce's voice. So that was perfectly understandable. Well, I'm happy to report that after seeing them 3 nights in the same week, I'm no longer concerned with that. They're currently ending the shows with Run to the Hills and Aces High, and Bruce is hitting all the notes comfortably and with power to spare. Before we continue, I want to remind you to please leave a quick like if you're enjoying this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's the smallest of things, but it goes a long way in supporting the work I do on this channel, and it helps you keep up to date with every video that we post. Now, back to Legacy of the Beast. The set list was a nice mix of classics and more recent songs. In fact, 8 of the current live set's 15 songs also appeared on their famous Live After Death album, which was released in 1985. And they blend perfectly with newer songs like The Writing on the Wall, Blood Brothers, and Sign of the Cross. They also sound much better than they did back then, especially Bruce, whose singing has become so much more fluid and natural. Of course, that also means they are not breaking much new ground with their set list. But this is always a tough call because a large part of the audience is made up of more casual fans and first-timers. Any way you slice it, those fans want to hear The Number of the Beast, The Trooper, and Fear of the Dark. And I'm sure the band wants them to leave the show happy, as much as they want the more hardcore fans to leave the show happy. So it's always a balancing act, and as much as I'd love a set list made up mostly of songs like Sea of Madness, Still Life, and Only the Good Die Young, I know that's just an impossibility, so it's not even worth talking about. Now, is it a perfect show? No. It's a bit odd to have Aces High as a second encore closer, and the changeover from the Senjutsu stage to the Legacy of the Beast set is a bit too long a pause, only 3 songs in. It also feels a bit like 2 separate shows with a complete change of stage set. But we all know there were some particular circumstances, like the original tour being interrupted by a global pandemic, the band having to release their new album in the midst of said pandemic. So, of course, compromises would have to be made, and ultimately, these are small things that didn't affect my overall enjoyment of the show in any way. I don't think there would have been a better way to handle things realistically, so kudos to the band, management, and the crew for making it work. As a guitar player, I can't help but marvel at the way the 3 amigos are playing lately. Adrian is as inventive with his solos as ever, and he just exudes coolness in everything he does. How he walks on stage, the way he moves, and even how he touches the guitar. And speaking of how he touches the guitar, I have to say I love to watch Adrian play because his movements are so crisp and neat. He moves his fingers and pick just enough, and he's always so efficient with his playing. It's truly wonderful to watch. Dave's inner fire is burning as hot as ever, and his solos and fills are just wailing. I heard rumors of him wanting to retire, but seriously, I don't think so. I'm not getting that vibe from him at all. That guy is having the best time on stage, and he's playing with so much passion. His fluidity is astounding, especially because it's not a light fluidity. Dave's hands look really strong, and he seems to fret every note hard, so that even the small, quick notes are loud. And I think that's one of the things that make his fast licks sound so awesome. With Yannick, I noticed 2 things. 1, his technique has become quite crisp, and he plays with a naturalness that is just scary sometimes. And 2, his tone is so fat. I don't know how he manages to make his notes sound so thick and full, but it's really quite something. He must burn about 3,000 calories every night because he is all over that stage. I couldn't do half of what he does on one night, let alone all of that multiple times a week for the entire duration of the tour. He's as much a showman today as when I first saw him on the No Prayer on the Road tour more than 30 years ago. Nico is keeping his tempos in check as of late, and it's resulted in the band sounding much tighter and more precise. This newfound moderation of tempo isn't without its drawbacks, however, as it does seem to throw Bruce off at times. Like Adrian, he has incredible efficiency of movement, and this is something that allows him to still play these songs smoothly and with power at 70 years old. Steve Harris is still a massive presence on stage, and though he doesn't run around quite as much as he used to, it's still impressive when he runs from one side of the stage to the other and points his bass at the crowd. When you look at him standing next to the drums looking out towards the band and the crowd, you just get a sense of pride and integrity that is so inspiring. Finally, I want to address the question in the title of this video. How relevant are Iron Maiden in 2022? It might seem like a clickbaity question, and perhaps in a way it might be, but beyond that, I think it's a very legitimate question to ask because this is a band that is in its 4th decade of continuous activity, having put out no less than 17 studio albums during that time. And while their songwriting and sound have evolved consistently over the years, they've remained true to those elements that made up the Iron Maiden sound. Apart from that, many bands that have been around this long are either done or giving performances that are nowhere near what they used to be in their prime. Iron Maiden are an entirely different thing. 3 nights in a row, I saw this band take the stage and put their bodies and souls into the entire set. From the opening notes of Senjutsu to the big rock ending of Aces High, all 6 members of the band are performing a full 15-song set at a very high level every single night. Nothing is done half-heartedly, there's no going through the motions, there's none of the entitlement that one might expect from a band of such legendary status at this point in their career. No. These guys are putting on a show with the intention of rewarding their fans with the best performance they can give them that night. Never taking the audience's respect for granted, but continuing to earn it in the same way in 2022 as they did in the very first years of their career. So yes, I think they are very much relevant today, and probably more so than ever before, because the truth is, there aren't many bands who can touch them when it comes to their live shows. And it's not about the props or the lights and pyro, but the way the band treats each individual show with the utmost respect for their legacy and with genuine appreciation for their fans. Musicians should really study their live performance carefully because there is so much to be learned from this band. Things like how to start a concert, how to pace a set, how to engage with the audience, how to use props for maximum effect, how to blend seriousness with campy fun and in which ratio, and most importantly, how to keep the fire burning within the band and among the fans after more than 4 decades. That's everything I've got to say for now. Let me know if you have any questions, and it would be great if those of you who attended any Legacy of the Beast shows could share your experiences in the comments section. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more licks of the Beast.